Colonel Zephyr Blackstone peered through his advanced optical suite, scanning the jagged purple peaks of Nexus Prime. The alien world's low gravity made the mountains seem to stretch impossibly high, their razor-sharp ridges disappearing into swirling lavender clouds. He grunted, adjusting the exoskeleton that helped his earthborn muscles cope with the reduced gravity. "Sitrep," he growled into his comm. "Gorge is clear," Sir, came the crisp reply from Lieutenant Flint Ironside. "No sign of Kha'zrak activity in the last hour." Zephyr nodded, though no one could see the gesture. The Kha'zrak were a warrior race, fearsome in their home gravity. But here, on this treacherous world that was the linchpin of 3 separate trade routes, they were out of their element. That's where Earth's mountain warfare specialists came in. "Maintain overwatch," Zephyr ordered. "Sergeant Granite, status on the climb." There was a pause before Sergeant Boulder Granite's gruff voice crackled through. "Making good time, Colonel. This gear is something else. We'll be in position within 20 mics." Zephyr allowed himself a small smile. The exoskeletons and specialized climbing equipment developed for low-gravity environments had given humanity an edge in this conflict. Where the Kha'zrak struggled with the reduced weight and unfamiliar terrain, Earth's mountain troops moved like ghosts across the treacherous landscape. "Roger that. Remember, we're here to secure the pass. Minimal engagement unless absolutely necessary." A chorus of affirmatives echoed through the comm. Zephyr switched channels, connecting to the orbiting command ship. "Everest Actual, this is Summit Lead. We're proceeding as planned. ETA to objective 30 minutes. "Copy that." Summit Lead, came the response from Major General Cliff Ridgeline. "Be advised, we're picking up increased chatter from Kha'zrak comm networks. They may be aware of your presence." Zephyr's jaw tightened. "Understood. We'll adapt as needed." He cut the transmission and addressed his team. "Boys, looks like we might have a welcoming committee. Stay frosty and be prepared for anything." As if on cue, a high-pitched whine filled the air. Zephyr's HUD lit up with incoming projectiles. "Contact," shouted Lieutenant Ironside. "Kha'zrak hover skiffs coming in hot from the eastern ridge." Zephyr's training kicked in instantly. "Granite, double time it to that outcropping." Ironside, suppressing fire. "Pike, get those long-range disruptors online." The air erupted in a cacophony of energy weapons and thunderous explosions. Sergeant Axel Pike's voice cut through the chaos. "Disruptors hot in 3, 2, 1. Firing." A pulse of electromagnetic energy rippled across the battlefield. The incoming Kha'zrak skiffs wobbled, their anti-grav systems momentarily disrupted. Several careened into the mountainside, erupting in brilliant fireballs. "Push the advantage," Zephyr roared, leading his team in a lightning-fast assault. They bounded across the terrain in great leaps, using their exoskeletons to control their movements in the low gravity. The Kha'zrak, caught off guard by the human speed and adaptability, found themselves quickly overwhelmed. Their bulky armor, designed for high-gravity combat, hindered their movements in this alien environment. Sergeant Granite's voice crackled over the comm. "Colonel, we've got a problem. Large Kha'zrak force massing in the valley below. Looks like they're bringing in their heavy artillery." Zephyr's mind raced. They couldn't let the Kha'zrak bring those weapons to bear. Ironside, Pike, lay down covering fire. "Granite, you're with me. We're going to trigger an avalanche." Sir Granite's voice held a note of surprise. "You heard me, Sergeant. Time to use this hellscape of a planet against them." The two men moved swiftly, placing high-yield explosives at key points along an unstable rock face. As they worked, the rest of the team engaged in a fierce firefight, keeping the Kha'zrak forces pinned down. "Charges set," Granite reported, his breath coming in short bursts. Zephyr nodded, keying his comm. "All units, fall back to preset positions. Operation Rockslide is a go in 10 seconds." The human forces disengaged with practiced efficiency, using their superior mobility to reach safe positions. The Kha'zrak, sensing victory, began to press forward. "Now," Zephyr bellowed. The mountainside erupted. In Earth gravity, it would have been impressive. In the reduced gravity of Nexus Prime, it was cataclysmic. Massive boulders and sheets of rock cascaded down the slope, gaining impossible speed in the low-gravity environment. The Kha'zrak didn't stand a chance. Their heavy equipment, already a liability, became a death sentence. The avalanche swept through their ranks, obliterating their artillery and scattering their forces. As the dust settled, an eerie quiet fell over the battlefield. Zephyr surveyed the scene, his heart pounding. Status report, he called out. One by one, his team checked in. Miraculously, they had suffered no casualties. Everest actual. This is Summit Lead, Zephyr reported. Pass is secure. Kha'zrak forces have been neutralized. There was a moment of stunned silence before General Ridgeline's voice came through. Outstanding work, Summit Lead. You've just turned the tide of this entire campaign. Zephyr allowed himself a grim smile. Just doing what we do best, sir. Mountain troops lead the way. As the adrenaline began to fade, Zephyr took a moment to absorb the magnitude of what they had accomplished. Earth's mountain warfare specialists, once considered a niche force, had proven themselves invaluable in the theater of interstellar conflict. The war was far from over, but today humanity had shown the galaxy that adaptability and specialized skills could overcome even the most fearsome of alien warriors. As Zephyr looked out over the ethereal landscape of Nexus Prime, he knew that the legend of Earth's mountain troops was only beginning to be written. In the days that followed, news of the Earth Force's victory on Nexus Prime spread rapidly across the galactic communication networks. The Kha'zrak, a species that had long prided itself on its martial prowess, found itself facing an unexpected and humbling defeat. Colonel Zephyr Blackstone and his team were recalled to the orbiting command ship for debriefing and some well-deserved rest. As they entered the bustling command center, a hush fell over the room. General Ridgeline strode forward, a rare smile cracking his weathered features. "Gentlemen," he began, his voice carrying across the suddenly silent space, "what you've accomplished down there isn't just a tactical victory. You've changed the entire strategic landscape of this conflict." Zephyr stood at attention, his team arrayed behind him. "Sir, we were just doing our job." Ridgeline shook his head. "Your modesty does you credit, Colonel, but let's not undersell this. The Kha'zrak have withdrawn from 3 other contested worlds similar to Nexus Prime. They're calling for diplomatic talks." A murmur of surprise rippled through the assembled personnel. Sergeant Granite let out a low whistle. Furthermore, Ridgeline continued, "We're receiving communiques from no less than 7 previously neutral species. They're expressing interest in alliances, trade agreements, and military cooperation." He paused, letting the impact of his words sink in. "Gentlemen, you've not only won a battle, you've quite possibly won us the war." The implications were staggering. Zephyr felt a mix of pride and humility wash over him. "What happens now, sir?" Ridgeline's expression turned serious. "Now we prepare. Your success has proven the value of specialized forces in extraterrestrial combat. High Command is green-lighting the expansion of the Mountain Warfare Division. We're going to need more men like you, trained to adapt to any environment the galaxy throws at us." Lieutenant Ironside stepped forward. "Sir, permission to speak freely." Ridgeline nodded. "The men we have, the equipment we use, it's all top-notch, but we were lucky down there. The Kha'zrak were unprepared for our tactics. We can't count on that advantage holding forever." "Agreed," Zephyr chimed in. "We need to stay ahead of the curve. Better exoskeletons, more advanced weaponry tailored for variable gravity environments. And we need to expand our training to cover every type of extreme terrain we might encounter out there." Ridgeline smiled. "You're preaching to the choir, gentlemen. As of this moment, you're all being promoted. Colonel Blackstone, congratulations on your new star. The rest of you, expect to see some new insignia as well." He paused, his gaze sweeping across the team. "More importantly, you're all being reassigned. We're establishing an elite training program for mountain and extreme environment warfare. You'll be shaping the future of Earth's special forces." The news hit Zephyr like a physical force. The responsibility was enormous, but so was the opportunity. He snapped to attention, saluting crisply. "We won't let you down, sir." As the briefing concluded and the team filed out, Sergeant, now Lieutenant Granite, fell in step beside Zephyr. "Hell of a thing, sir," he muttered. "One minute we're grunts on a mountain, the next we're changing the face of interstellar warfare." Zephyr nodded, his mind already racing with plans and possibilities. "It's a brave new galaxy out there, Granite, and we're going to make sure humanity is ready for whatever it throws at us. The corridors of the command ship bustled with activity, but Zephyr barely noticed. His thoughts were focused on the challenges ahead. Training a new generation of mountain warfare specialists, developing cutting-edge technologies, and preparing for the unknown threats that lurked in the vast expanse of space. As they reached the observation deck, Zephyr paused, gazing out at the swirling purple atmosphere of Nexus Prime below. The planet that had been the stage for their greatest triumph now seemed small, just one tiny part of the enormous galaxy that humanity was venturing into. "You know," Lieutenant Pike said, joining them at the window, "my great-grandfather used to tell stories about the mountain troops in World War II. How they turned the tide in places like the Alps and the Apennines. Never thought I'd be part of something like that." Zephyr placed a hand on the younger man's shoulder. "Those men laid the foundation for what we do, Pike. Now we're building on that legacy, taking it to the stars." As if to underscore his words, a fleet of Earth ships dropped out of FTL on the edge of the system. Reinforcements, no doubt, but also the vanguard of a new era of human expansion and influence. "Looks like our ride's here," Ironside quipped, nodding towards the incoming ships. Zephyr straightened, squaring his shoulders. "All right, gentlemen, we've got a lot of work ahead of us. Let's show the galaxy what Earth's mountain troops can really do." As they turned to leave, Zephyr cast one last glance at Nexus Prime. The jagged peaks that had been the site of their greatest challenge now seemed like a promise of the heights humanity could reach, the obstacles they could overcome. The galaxy was vast, filled with wonders and terrors beyond imagination, but Zephyr Blackstone and his team of mountain warfare specialists were ready to face whatever came their way. They would climb every mountain, brave every storm, and show the universe that humanity's greatest strength lay not in brute force, but in its ability to adapt, to innovate, and to triumph against all odds. As the Earth fleet grew larger in the viewport, Zephyr allowed himself a small, determined smile. The next chapter in humanity's cosmic adventure was about to begin, and he and his mountain troops would be leading the way, one impossible peak at a time.